Hello and welcome to another Pastor Chat. We'll be talking about overcoming failure and overcoming issues. And to preface this, I want to talk about the PB, the split jerk PB I made a few days ago. So I jerked 201 kilograms, 1 kilo PB, only a 1 kilo PB, but it's the first PB of a lift, not a full lift obviously, an Olympic lift, 1RM, first PB in 17 months. So obviously I had hip surgery 16 months ago it would be, and obviously the rehab, the recovery after that. So 201, it was really nice, I was really happy with it. But obviously a lot of things went into that, so obviously nearly a year and a half of rehab and training, and training without PBs. Now, if your only motivating factor to stay in the sport is hitting PBs, I don't know how long you're going to be in there for, because, you know, obviously this is obviously an extreme example of having hip surgery and whatnot, but it's not massively uncommon for people to have long breaks without making a PB. So you've got to be motivated in other ways. You can't just be motivated by hitting PBs, okay? I think we all know this, but I don't think we all actually put it into practice. A lot of times people get upset and fixated on hitting a certain number or hitting a PB, even if it's just 1 kilo, and it becomes their whole identity. And their whole motivation, and to be honest, maybe their identity, the PB chaser. And for a lot of people who have normal lives, normal jobs, you know, you can't always hit PBs every week, and you've got to be comfortable and enjoy training. The process of training and the process of getting better, and look to see progress elsewhere. So, in this 17 months of not hitting a 1RM PB in the lifts, it's ridiculous to assume that I haven't got better at anything. I've been working a lot on my technique, especially in the jerk. Obviously that's now paid off. Figuring out a few things. I won't go into the details of what they are, but basically now, if you watch the video of the 201 versus the 200 that I did a few years ago, obviously, the 200 that I did was the first time hitting 200. This was, so it's obviously a bit different. The context is different. But the 201 is significantly better. It's not a press out. It's an actual comp legal lift in the one. It's obviously from the block, so I couldn't do it in comp. But it's it wouldn't be given a press out. It wasn't painful. It wasn't dangerous looking. The 200 was a good, obviously a cool lift, but it was a good predictor of the potential issues that were coming later on with the hip injury. And my progress has been, in other things, not just 1RMs. So the other things I've been looking at are strengthening my pressing, my strict press. That's just been mainly for aesthetic reasons, but I've been hitting PBs in the strict press, as you know. I've been hitting PBs in other things, but nothing squats or 1RMs or lifts. So finding even technical progress has been really fun, and I've been enjoying because everyone loves to see progress. I'm not saying you shouldn't be making progress, but if you're only measuring progress by 1RMs, that's an issue, and you need to look for other reasons and other ways to make progress. So for me, it's been lifestyle changes, more around, I'm still trying to get better at sleeping, but more around stress management, financial management, and diet. My diet is significantly improved since when I did the 200, and that's another sign of improvement. I'm getting a lot better at training for the love of training. Sometimes I go into a session knowing it's not going to be a huge session because I know what's on the program, or I know it's rehab focus. And it's not going to be a sexy day, that I can post to Instagram and get hundreds of likes and whatnot. But it's a good, building block session. And I've been really enjoying those building block sessions where you go in and you make really nice looking lifts. And as much as I was very happy with, let's say, the 201, in that same week, I hit some really nice snatches at 115 on the Monday. And it gives me as much joy kind of watching those really nice technical lifts as it did the 1RM. It was a different kind of joy. The 1RM was more of a relief as well, as a kind of like, obviously as passion as much as it was joy. The lighter, I don't even know what 115 kilos is. It's probably about 75-ish% snatch. Looking at that, the joy was in, damn, like in the last 5 years, 4 years, even year or so, the movement progression I've made in the snatch is so different. Like, it looks strong off the floor, which was always a big issue. I'm actually getting closer to reaching kind of a full extension. I'm not twisting when I catch it. I'm catching and not running it forward. So all these things, like, they do add up. And although it's not a 1RM PB, it's by far, by a long way, the best I've ever moved that weight. And the PBs will come with that. And obviously now I have proof for that with the jerks. So my biggest kind of thing I wanted to get across to you on this was that the chasing of 1RM PBs, obviously that is the nature of our sport, and if you're competitive, you've got to bear in mind not everyone actually does this sport to be competitive, so you have to kind of accept that. When you start coaching, you'll meet people who are like that, and that's fair enough. But if you want to be competitive, let's not shy away from the fact that the sport is a 1RM sport, and you still need to actually push the 1RM, obviously. I'm not saying don't ever think about it, but if that's all you think about, and I do know a few people who are like this, who their whole, whether they have a good session or not depends on if they hit a PB, which, you know, obviously never happens, because then you start forcing it and you start chasing it, and PB should never really be forced. So my goal on the day of the jerk was to hit 191. That was my big goal, because that was the number that I injured myself on, and that was all I was thinking about, 191. And then I hit it and I smoked it, and I was like, okay, well, today could be the day, let's go up. And that's why I went up. I didn't force it. I didn't miss it 15 times and try and make it and get injured. You know what I mean? It was there on the day, and obviously I took advantage. That comes from obviously putting in the work beforehand, being healthy, and not going in with the expectation or the want, or not necessarily the want, but because I obviously do want a PB, but the expectation or the need to hit a big PB every single session, or make every session a really big session. You can just go in the gym, leave the gym, and feel decent, rather than going in absolutely battering yourself every single time and leaving the gym feeling awful. So that's my main message there, and it's taken me obviously 17 months for 1 kilo on a lift that, you know, isn't actually even the competition lift. It's just a variation, or I guess it's one part of the clean and jerk, obviously, but it's not the lift. That's a lot of time. That's time that I've still spent getting better, getting stronger in other ways, getting more mobile. That's another thing. I've reduced the imbalances in my shoulders by quite a lot in this time. And I've also learned a lot about rehab and my jerks, as technically wise. Obviously, from watching that failed jerk over and over and over again that injured me. Use the time away from 1RMs. Stop putting pressure on yourself. Stop putting pressure on your, oh, I need to hit a 1RM, I need to hit a 1RM. And try and focus on the things that can make you better in the long run, and also mentally, hopefully, keep you happier and healthier. Alright?